Hello and welcome back. So let's say you are working on a monolithic application and your team has decided right now to migrate to microservices architecture, and your business team, your development team, you all sat together and you found a way, you have defined the service boundaries and you found a way this is how we'll be migrating to microservices architecture, and everything is ready on the paper. Right now, you actually want to migrate to the microservices architecture and you want to start the migration. But doing migration is not a very easy task. It takes a lot of effort, challenges to migrate from monolithic to microservices architecture. In this video, I'll tell you how to plan the migration and how you will start the actual migration process. Let's just get started. Imagine you have your three-tier application, which is basically an e-commerce application. And let's say you have the presentation layer, service layer, and DAO layer kind of architecture. And it's the very traditional e-commerce online store that you have in your company, which was serving you well. But right now you want to switch from this architecture to this. Let's say you have defined and created a lot of microservices in the paper, and you have created microservices like, let's say, review service, payment service, shipping service, product service, blah, blah, blah service, and defined the boundaries for this microservices, like what services will contain what kind of APIs, which is good. But this is on the paper right now. But now you want to start the actual migration process. So as a software developer, the first approach that we think of is the Big Bang approach. So if you're free, you can just Google around and can look for something called Big Bang approach in Google and just see what it means in software engineering. But if I'm going to brief you shortly, the Big Bang approach basically means that the development team will stop the enhancement and the development and work on the migration only. What they will say, let's not take any new requirements, let's not do any kind of new development, let's not add any new features to our existing application. Let's just form a big team and let's just start working on the migration process only, and let's complete the migration process. Let's just create all the microservices that we have designed first, and then we will be starting with the new features and development once this task is done. It sounds like a good idea in theory. In reality, this is a very, very bad idea because we have a lot of problems when we do so. The first thing is a big team again working on the migration, and that's the biggest problem. Remember why we're moving to microservices? Because right now already we have a very big project, we have a very big team, we are having communication issues between teams, so we want to form small microservices, and we want one particular team should be taking the complete ownership and responsibility of one particular microservices. But right now, here we go again. We are working on the migration with a very big team by stopping all the development work. And again, this will cause the mess. This will cause a huge communication gap between the developers, and it will be very difficult to communicate the issues, problems, strategy between the team. The second problem here, the deadline and the estimation conflict. Neither your lead will be able to give a deadline for this entire migration from your monolithic to microservices architecture that you are forming, or your project manager can give an estimation to your client that how long it will take to do the complete migration. So the thing that you have to understand is that it's a huge monolithic application that you have formed or your team has formed by working on this for years. So right now, you in a small time frame won't be able to complete the entire migration, and this might cause headache for your team lead and project manager. And the most important problem here, the stopping the development can really hurt the business. Think about a salesperson point of view who is basically pitching for your products. Imagine what that guy will do if there will not be any new feature you'll be adding into your application. There will be no pitching, there will be no new clients, And think about your existing customer point of view. They will be visiting to your website, to your web application, and they will be like, oh, this is the same thing again and again here. There is no new features getting added. The user experience is not improving. So might be their business is dead. So when you stop doing any development for any particular product, the customers will be slowly moving out, and that can really hurt your business. So the big bang approach, where you only do the migration, there is no testing involved, everyone is waiting for that task to complete to start doing the other stuff, that approach in reality is a very, very bad approach. So the big bang approach is a complete flop. And this is one of the approaches that we all developers think at first whenever we're migrating any application in our company. Yeah, think about yourself, talk to your juniors, seniors, and most of us think about this approach. And the one who thinks about this approach must be a developer. Now, this is the approach that we need to think about, the incremental and the continuous approach. And I'm sure most of you who have worked on the migration are following this kind of approach, incremental and continuous. We will see what we have over here. This means continuing the development along with the migration. The migration will be continued in its own place, where the new features and the project development, the enhancement also will be keep on adding in our existing application. Okay, so the question is, if we're following this approach, then how we'll be starting with our migration? Okay, let's say we are trying to break our entire monolithic application and we're planning to create different services. Then which service we need to migrate first? Okay, is it product service? Is it order service? Is it review service? It is search service, or is it payment service? What is that microservice that we will be migrating first? Okay, and the way we need to figure this out by asking this question. We first need to identify what is that first microservice which deserves our attention first. How can we identify the right microservices to get started with? So for this, we need to see our project timeline. So you know your project or whatever application that you're working with, it has many versions like this. And the reason for all these versions that you have created one after another, just because you have added some new features or new changes to your existing code. And with every new changes, you created a new version of it and you have checked in your code and you have a release for it. But if you see the timeline, you have to ask that question to yourself, why you had these changes and in which particular module we have contributed the most of the changes. If we're going to ask this question, I'm sure that you'll find out there will be 1 or 2 or 3 area where you are basically adding a lot of code. Which particular module is basically getting changed gradually and where you are basically adding a lot of new changes. Let's say that service is product service. This is the service which is the biggest reason for your code change, and this is the biggest reason for the code conflict. So good to start with this as a separate service, and we'll separate this from our monolithic application. We'll start creating this service all alone. And once you complete this microservice, again you have to ask the question, what is the second most module where a lot of code changes are going? And then you identify, let's say it is order service. So start creating this service. Then it needs your attention. Start with this service. And like that, you have to keep doing the migration one after another, okay? But not at once. You don't have to stop your entire development. And by doing this, it can take the right decision. You will only be changing those microservices which needs your attention, where maybe you see a lot of code changes or which might need a lot of resources to run in. Let's say there is a particular microservice which needs your attention because it needs to be scalable. Imagine in your monolithic application, you have 100 or 50 modules, but you will figure out, okay, this is the microservice which takes in a lot of user requests, or these are the APIs inside this module which is getting a lot of user requests and a lot of user traffic. So you need to first give your attention to those microservices instead of working on some service which changes very occasionally. Because look at this point, migrating code that changes occasionally does not give us any benefit. And with this approach, whenever you are working on only one particular microservice and you are planning like, okay, this much of amount of time that we need to give to this particular microservice, in case you are exceeding the deadline, it should not be in years, or it should not be in many months, maybe a month here and there while giving the estimation should be fine with your lead and with your project manager. So in your project manager perspective also, this should be a hit idea because the estimation cannot go so wrong in this approach, and they all are safe and stress-free. Okay, so now let's just say you wanted to start your migration journey by starting with the product microservice or the product service, and you want to split that module from your monolithic application and you want to start developing on that particular module. So the biggest thing that you have to understand here before you start the migration, that you have the right code coverage. Imagine you want to work with this product module. You want to create a new microservice, which is product microservice. Imagine there is a feature on this product microservice where you can add a product. And imagine these are the code that you have in your code base. Now, when you form this microservice, you need to also make sure you need to have good test cases, which will have good code coverage. For an example, you need to make sure that you have unit test cases which will test this add product functionality. Imagine we have an add product unit test method here, which will basically check all these lines and will make sure this functionality is working well. So having good unit tests which has good code coverage will make sure you will not get into trouble after your migration is done. The second thing that you need to understand is a pattern whenever you're migrating from monolith to microservices. So this pattern, what we call a strangler fig pattern. So what do you mean by this strangler fig pattern? So I will show you this diagram first, then we'll come to this. So the strangler fig pattern says, let's say you have your e-commerce application, which is your monolith application, and you have users. So initially your application works like this. Let's say somebody is hitting a product API, your flow is coming to the product service, and the response goes from the product service. And this is how basically the request response cycle goes. But here we will introduce right now a gateway or a proxy or what we call a strangler facade in between the user and in between the e-commerce application, and we'll let the request flow by that proxy to our monolith application. But what advantage that we will get with this approach? Imagine from this monolith application, first we want to split the product service and we want to create a new microservice which is called product microservice. Now we will introduce this a strangler facade or a proxy or a router or a gateway between this microservice that we have created and between the user. Okay. And right now, whenever the user is going to hit any API from this product service, we'll make sure this user request from the user to product will be routed through the gateway that we are adding. The gateway is nothing but the router. We will make sure whenever the user is hitting the request for product, in which application this request will go, whether to this or this proxy or this router or this gateway will decide. That's why we implement the gateway design pattern. Okay, now imagine, here we go, we have the new microservice, so our request is coming through this proxy and the proxy routed the request over here. And this is a good way you can test right now whether the new microservice that you have created is working fine. In a good application, what people do whenever they create the new microservice over here, they will not entirely delete the other module or product which was pre-existing over here. even after creating the new microservice, they will still be keeping the product service over here. If the user wants, they can still be able to make requests to this. And whether it is version 1 user is calling or the version 2 the user is calling, that will be routed through the proxy based on the URL that the user is hitting. So it is much more transparent to the user, and we are letting them know that we have created a new microservice, which is the version 2. So it's a good way to get your newly created microservice tested by the user itself. And once the testing is done, we can completely remove that microservice from the existing monolithic architecture or from the monolithic application. Now, coming back to the strangler fig pattern, why did I tell this proxy or the router or the gateway layer that we're creating over here, why we're calling this project or this component as the strangler facade? What do you mean by the strangler fig? So have you seen some plants which basically needs a support to grow? Or have you seen a kind of vine which basically keep on growing like a spiral way over a plant, okay? And eventually that vine or that plant will take up the entire support that you have given it. The strangler fig pattern over here exactly does the same thing. So over here, we have separated our product service. Just like that, previously, when our user is basically hitting the order service, the user request used to come to this monolithic application. But eventually, we'll take this order module to a different microservice we'll start creating, and we'll make sure when the user will now hit the order request, it will be served via our new microservice. And like that, one after another, we can keep on separating this module and will be keep on creating new microservices. And whenever needed, for an example, this search and image search can be joined together, and we can create one boundaries for them. We can actually merge them together, and we can separate them as a new microservice. And like that, we can keep moving all our microservices, and there will be a time when your e-commerce application will be completely empty. Or if you want, you can keep all your older modules over here or the entire modules over here, and you can keep on give support on that old legacy application if your client still wants to use it. Or you can completely move this particular modules to new microservices, and you can remove your old monolithic application. And here the strangler facade basically tells you that there will be a place when all your new microservices will occupy and will capture the entire architecture, and your monolithic application will be completely vanished. Okay? And remember this pattern, as this plays a very huge role whenever you are migrating from monolithic to microservices architecture. And that's all about this series. If you are interested with this kind of videos and this kind of series, which is a bit more conceptual, then let me know in the comments. I will start creating more videos like this. All right? Because I feel in the interview, what they want to hear is this, not how you're going to be coding it. For code, we all know how to do the coding. And if you're new to microservices, and if you're a Java Spring Boot developer, I have a Spring Cloud playlist. Keep on following it, and there will be a lot of new microservices related coding videos will be soon arriving on my platform. So do subscribe to Selenium Express and stay tuned, like the video and give a comment if you found it interesting. But the conceptual things are a bit boring, but these are the rules for our life, right? As a microservices developer, architect, or whatever role that you're playing in your team. That's it for this video. I'll see you in another video very shortly. Until then, bye-bye, take care, and happy coding? No, happy learning, because we're learning the concepts. Bye.